What's up, everyone? This is Resilience in Action with Erin Brown, the #1 podcast for anyone looking to have a greater human experience. This episode is sponsored by Visual Media. Are you an entrepreneur or a small business looking to take your brand to the next level? Then Visual Media is the service for you. Visual Media is a video production company who specializes in creating high-quality visual content for social media, websites, and online courses. Head over to Visual Media on Instagram and drop Resilience in their DM to get started. That's VZUALMEDIA_ to get started. This is Resilience in Action with Erin Brown, and we're here with Ken Branson. Ken is the founder of an incomplete brand, Basement to Balcony, and I'm not even going to butcher it, so I'm going to let him tell us a little bit about what that is.
That's what's up, Erin. Listen, I appreciate the opportunity to just have this conversation. I'm grateful for your platform and your vision. And just to be a little flower on the wall, you feel me, as to what you got going on. So definitely big ups to you for creating these spaces for us, though. But Basement to Balcony is literally my life story. It's an incomplete brand, you know what I mean, as Erin said, but it's literally my life story. I started my business from the basement of the church I was attending in 2007. And I also lived in the basement of my parents' house, right? As me and my brother got older, my parents built out the basement, turned it into almost like apartments, right? We had our own separate rooms downstairs. So literally, it just came to me one day. Matter of fact, no, it came to me through a coach that I hired one time to help me do some marketing and branding and, just get some things in order. Basement to Balcony, and also is also a service that I offer my clients. Under the umbrella of Mastermind Productions, it's a service that I offer my clients to help them establish rapport or with their audiences from the basement to the balcony. So I literally do what I do for them the same way I was raised and also the same way I started my business, but I do it for them in the form of video storytelling, right? So you'll see a whole lot of Basement to Balcony on the brand. Of course, that's my Instagram name and TikTok name and all the other good jazz, but it is a life story and it's also a service that I offer my clients as well.
Perfect. Okay, a life story and a service. It's not too many people that can turn their life stories into a service. So, I mean, shout outs to you for being able to do that. That is brilliant. Wherever that came from, genius. That's
Appreciate
good. Good. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your humble beginnings.
Yeah, so definitely grew up in a middle class Black family. I was adopted by my stepdad. That was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. Since sliced bread, as we like to say. So growing up, me and my brother, we had everything we ever needed in life. I don't have a poverty story whatsoever. But when I got out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps. Because college just wasn't sitting well for me, academic probation. I was away from home for the first time. So I just started wilding out. I saw a recruiter in the grocery store, a real sharp Marine. I was like, yo, I want to be like that when I grow up. You know what I mean? So needless to say, I joined the Marine Corps, came out of the Marine Corps, and I got a job servicing ATMs. Right, Erin, and this is where the climax really of the story. Not even the climax; it's where it took a turn.
Okay.
So after I got out the Marine Corps, got a job servicing ATMs. I was only like 19, 20 years old. I started taking money from the ATMs like it was free money. You know what I mean? Like I was
Ken!
like, hey, Erin, can't nobody miss this little pinch that I'm about to take, right? So what crazy is that pinch ended up being 10 felonies in 3 different counties. Like those pinches ended up, costing me prison time, and that's where it all started.
Ken, all right, so so I'm glad I do this organically because I would go completely off script if I didn't.
Yeah.
All right, so you graduated high school, went to college for a little while.
1 year.
Started wilding. Wilding out. Okay. And then you see a Marine sharp as a tack, like they are. Want to be like that. You join the Marines, you get out of the Marines, and then you go to service ATMs. And then not only do you service the ATMs, but you service the ATMs with the money. You service your pockets with the money from the ATM.
Yeah.
And then you get caught.
Yeah.
And then you said 3 felonies?
13.
13 felonies in 3 different counties.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. So I needed to wrap my mind around what that looked like. Okay. You served jail time, obviously.
Yep.
How long?
So my 13 felonies ended up getting reduced to 4 class H felonies, and they was holding 6 to 8 months apiece. Right. So I was blessed right there as well. Right. So then when they activated my sentence, I was supposed to go serve 24 to 32 months. Guess what? By the grace of God, they ran all them jokers together again, and only had to do 1 6 to 8 month sentence in prison.
Just one.
Yep.
Ken, how much money did you take?
So they said it was around $40,000.
$40,000. What did you do with that money?
Balling out of control. You know what I
mean?
Yeah. 19. I don't, if I need to do the math so I can stop saying 19 or 20 years old, but it was somewhere around that age range. I was very immature with money. It was the thrill of being able to do literally whatever I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I bought motorcycles, cash money, clothes. Of course, I was giving money away to take people out to eat. So, it was a group of us going out to eat, random time. It fed my, it fed my inner child, right? I got picked on a lot when I was in middle school, not so much high school, but so I always had a need to be significant. You understand what I'm saying? So being able to have that type of money, it afforded me the opportunity to feel significance, although that was a false sense of significance, but that's what it was doing for me at the time. I would help people pay bills. I remember filling people's refrigerator, going to Walmart, spending $200 or $300 in groceries. I remember paying my Nextel bill up for the whole year type deal, right? Because I had the money to do so. You know what I mean? So it was giving me a false sense of significance. And I actually talk about that, a lot of that kind of stuff today.
False sense of significance. That, just those words right there. First of all, shout out to you for using the language, false sense of significance, because significance is a big word. And we don't ever, very rarely have I heard the word significant be used in like a negative context. So that right there, my friend, is chef's kiss. Yeah. Definitely powerful language that I know lands every time you deliver it. Yeah. Okay. False sense of significance. $40,000 balling out of control from the ATMs. I'm still in shock. I knew you had a story. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
So this is a pleasant surprise.
Wow.
Unfortunate surprise. But wow, like amazing. Okay, so what do you do with your story now?
Yeah, so I use my story as leverage, number one, to help others not make the same mistake. I use my story as leverage to attract clients.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be surprised how many people do business with me. And this is one thing that I say all the time: people buy people, they don't buy products and services, right? I got a lot of people who rock with me because of my story, not because I'm the dopest filmmaker or photographer in North Carolina or the East Coast. Like, they rock with my story. They like the story of resilience. They like a good underdog story, right? So I use my story to attract clients. Also, the third way I use my story is to as a model for my clients to attract their clients.
Okay.
Right. A lot of people, like, the buzzword of authenticity is floating around, right? And a lot of people really, really can't grasp the concept of authenticity, right? So I use my story as a model as to how they should tell their story to attract their clients. So it's three ways right there that I use my story, and I think that probably covers it all.
Got you. I just and you've been in this lane doing this work for how long?
Yeah, so I was convicted in 2004. Well, let me just back that up. So I've been in business for 15 years, since 2007. Okay. But I was always just head down, hand to the plow. It was not all about, at that time, it was not, I didn't want nobody to know. Right. So, my story was kept on a hush. Matter of fact, I met with a lady by the name of Pope, Dr. Pope. I can't think of her name, but she's actually a forensic accountant, and she's a professor at I think DeVry.
Okay.
I might be getting it jacked up, but nevertheless, she did a seminar at A&T. She was presenting to the accounting department at A&T, and I was filming her, and she was talking about all the white collar crimes that has been exposed through forensic accounting. And one of the crimes that she talked about was Rita Cromwell, who was a city comptroller in a small town called Dixon in the state of Illinois. Right. So Rita ended up embezzling or stealing like, 50 some $million over the period of like 20 years. And it really caused the entire economy of Dixon, Illinois to really tank. Like, they are really poor because of like what she did. Right. After all of that, she did all that presenting. We started talking about my story, and she was like the same response that you gave me, like, "What you did? What? I can't believe it." So she actually told me, "Ken, I don't think you should go public with this story. I think you should just keep it where you are." Like, because I'm doing business with Google, AARP, Cisco, like a lot of household names. And she was like, "I don't want you to mess up your reputation." But I went against the grain a little bit. You know what I mean? And I was like, "Listen, I feel like it's time to tell this story and get it out to the masses, because it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to push everybody away from me, or it's going to attract a whole lot of people." And you know what? It started to attract a whole lot of people. I don't know if I answered your question or not, because I just got off on a soapbox, but did I answer it?
No, you did. You
okay.
did. Absolutely. The question was just like how long you've been doing this, and you said since 2007. Okay.
Yeah, I've been in business since 2007, but I didn't start telling my story until much, much later, until I started actually doing storytelling workshops. And I think that did not come, workshops probably didn't happen until right around COVID. So really probably about 3 or 4 years,
Gotcha.
I have really been on Front Street with my story.
Gotcha. Okay. So it was under wraps. That's definitely something. I think I don't, as a human being, right? I don't think there's anyone in this world that doesn't have a story or a situation that they've lived through that they do not like to talk about. Like, and what I've learned is, I mean, I have one too, right? What I've learned is that when you lean into that story, you find other people who have lived that experience or can relate to that experience, and that grows your network, like, and your net worth tremendously.
Oh.
Tremendously. Like, all right, so so wild that you had to experience that. But the gifts that you've been able to gain and how you've turned that into a purpose. You didn't, like, you did it, you got caught, whatever, but you turned that into a lesson, a purpose, a story that you can share over and over and over again, and to a lot of different people, and it lands. All right, let's talk about video, because I think that's how I came across you. Is like you are you a digital creator?
Yes.
Okay. Say more.
So the all I knew when I got out of prison was that I had I had over $400 a month to pay in child support and over $600 a month to pay in restitution. I had to, pay the money back that I stole, right? So I'm $1,000, off the rip that I got to pay every month just to stay out of prison. So with that being said, I didn't know nothing about no titles. I didn't know anything about no, influencer and all this other jazz. All I knew was I needed to be able to give a service to somebody so that they can give me money in return. So when I started using terms like digital creator, digital storyteller, videographer, all of these terms and titles and stuff, they just came along. I'm like, wait a minute, I do that. So now I'm a videographer. Wait a minute, I do that. So now I'm a video storyteller. Wait a minute, I do that. Now I'm a storyteller. Wait a minute, you a what? Master? Oh, Ken Branson, master visual storyteller. Right? Like, so I just started to adopt all these things. Digital creator is another one. As time had progressed, because I didn't know. So I'm just like, if I see somebody on a platform, somebody who done did 10, 20 years in prison, and they come out, they like, oh, this is what I do. I started to use the language. So now digital creator is one of the many hats that I wear, or many, names on the hat that I wear, that has come to fruition over time.
Gotcha. Okay. Is that something you love to do? Is that your passion?
Yeah. So is that my passion? That's a great question. So when I started some therapy several years ago, I had to talk about the first time I actually started stealing money, right? And it was actually in the 7th grade. My granddaddy, he was an entrepreneur before he died. And he had this big, thick green ashtray that was, in his room that was full of nothing but silver coins, right, Erin? Like, so at the time, I had this girlfriend who went back home to Detroit for the summertime. So I had to go in my granddaddy's room and get some quarters out of the ashtray, but I had to do it without getting caught, right? And I had to go get some quarters to go to the payphone to call my girlfriend, right? So I could spend some time with her over the phone, because there were no such thing as long distance. That, you know what I mean? Well, it was, but we had to pay for long distance at the time. You feel me? So that was the first time that I realized I started stealing, and I saw a track record from the 7th grade all the way through until I got caught taking money from the ATMs. It was a lot of stealing that was going on in between those times, and the only common denominator of it all, I was never on drugs. I was never supporting any type of habit. My mama wasn't sick. Like, this is all stuff they asked me when I got caught. Like, none of those things was a part of my life, but the only common denominator was the fact that it presented a thrill. Okay. So now, going through therapy, I realized that I did it because it was a thrill. Now I was able to do like Jeezy say, I flipped the hustle and been killing them ever since. I'm still able to get that same thrill in storytelling. Telling somebody else's story in a compelling manner, so that somebody be sitting there at the screen like, what? This nonprofit did what? Like, why the music just making me feel like this? Or why is the music making me sad? Or why is the music making me happy? Why is the music making me, or why is this story making me want to open my wallet up and give all the money to this nonprofit, or to go spend money with this corporation? Why? Because Ken Branson gets a thrill out of retelling your story. People ask me all the time, Erin, they be like, Ken, do you ever think you'll steal again? And I'll be like, I hope not. I want to be like, you know what, man, I never steal again. But you got to realize, stealing presented the thrill for me. So I never put myself in position to steal again. You know what I mean? So now I'm able to take that same energy and be fulfilled from it through digital storytelling.
I love it. I love that, being able, because that's a gift. That's a gift and that's a skill right there. Taking something that you enjoy, right, and being able to flip it in a way that is, what did Jay-Z say on God Did? Bruh, first off, fieriest verse that I've ever did hear.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it. I hadn't heard it in its totality yet.
It's like almost 5 minutes of just all flames, like just fire. But basically, like when he was talking about like selling drugs and then turning, what did he say? What up, Breezy? We pushing fancy like fentanyl or something like that. And it's like just being able to turn that illegal shit into something legal and legit, you know.
Yes.
Fire. I'm so glad you've been able to find that thrill that you got from stealing. Yep. and applying it to the gift of being able to storytell, being the story steward, and sharing other people's stories. That's amazing. That's so fire. That is so fire. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. What is one of the obstacles that's not obvious that you face, and how have you overcome it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. One of the obvious reasons is not being able to get a job with 13 felonies.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I did not know that would affect me is number two, getting an apartment in my name, and number three, being able to get life insurance.
Oh, life insurance?
What? Let me tell you, man, when I early on, when I was, freshly convicted, like they weren't trying to hear nothing. They like, no, you're considered a high risk because you stole money from ATMs. Like, no, we do not want to insure you.
I'm dead. That's so wild. Like, but it makes sense. It makes sense. And the person on the outside, I would have never in a million years thought of that. But I'm like, yeah, like he might be like a bank robber. This might just be the beginning. He might try to go down in a blaze of glory. Yeah. Okay.
So one of the things that I really hate about the justice system is, in this case, it was, 13 separate times that I stole money that they have on record, right? So yes, that's 13 felonies. It was 13 times I stole over $1,000, and it was one time I stole under $1,000. So it was really 13 felonies and one misdemeanor. But when people looked at my criminal background, they didn't put it all together. Like, okay, this is one. It didn't occur to them that this was one occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because technically, it really wasn't one occurrence. Because it was on different days, different times, different amounts. But at the end of the day, in my mind, it's like, yo, I just did this. This was like one time, so I don't need y'all to be looking at this like I did it this year, the next year, the year after that. Like it, you know what I mean? But that's the way when people looked at my criminal background, especially leasing offices and employers and stuff, they like, wait a minute, no, this is 13. You stole 13 different times. You got 13 felonies. Like, we don't want nothing to do with you, right? And then the second thing, I said the leasing, and I said the insurance and the leasing. The lease thing was a big deal as well because I got 3 kids. You feel what I'm saying? And I already had my first 2 kids was out of wedlock. Right. So it's just like I already fit the statistic of, a black man having kids who got a criminal background. I didn't have no formal education. I'm in the criminal justice system. Like I had all these strikes against me that was matching statistics. The last thing I needed was to be laid up in somebody's crib, like laid up in my baby mama crib. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this can't be me, right? So the pride, the pride or whatever you want to call it, the manhood or the man in me was like, listen, we got to get my own place, right? So I filled out application after application, getting denied until one time I just was like, listen, I got felony larceny charges on my record. Is there anything that y'all can do to help me before I had to pay this additional application fee? Mm-hmm. Again, it was like, you know what? You just got to be honest. and this was the right place. Listen, I didn't even look at the apartment before. Some people come in and do a tour to see if you want to stay there. It's like, nah, at this point in time, I just need a place to stay. You know what I mean? So that's what we did. I got approved, moved in, and we've been here ever since.
I love it. That's awesome. Awesome. And you in North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Where you at?
In Durham.
In Durham. Okay, I think that's like 3 or 4 hours away from us. I'm in Asheville.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you've been here in North Carolina all your life?
My whole life. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Boy, you got a story. Boy, you have a story.
Yeah.
Are you a speaker as well? I'm gonna take a stab at that.
Yeah, so I linked up with Odell. Odell has actually been a client of mine since 2020, probably since right around the time that you was exposed to Odell. I learned a lot from him. He used to come to the studio and do a lot of his marketing videos right there, right? So it's another good perk of being a filmmaker or a storyteller and photographer. Back when I was doing it, is I get to sit in and learn a lot while I'm still getting paid for doing the work. You know what I mean? So I would listen to Odell a lot of times, just spitting knowledge about what it takes to become a public speaker, especially in the college market. So eventually, fast forward 2 years, go through COVID and all that other good jazz. I signed on with, his mastermind. And let me tell you, it was one of the best investments. It was let me just say this. It was the biggest investment I've made to date. Like, I've never spent that much money on anything in life. Right. But to make that investment with Odell and Stan and all of the NAMCA fam, shout out to them. Like, it was one of the best things that I could have ever done. So I hadn't gotten any speaking engagements yet, but it's not because what I learned from them don't work. It's, I still have my part to do as well. So yes, I do some public speaking. So far I've been speaking to a lot of kids. And I got a funny story to tell you about that if we got time.
Hey. If you're enjoying this content, do not forget to rate and review. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, be sure to rate and review. It helps us reach more people in more ways. Now, let's get back to some resilience.
But yeah, to answer your question.
Yeah, go ahead. So jump right into the funny story. I love to laugh. So
yeah. So I had a speaking engagement probably about a month ago where I was talking to some kids. It went good. Like, it was well received. Matter of fact, they all sent thank you letters right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know what I'm saying? That I still got to read all of them, right? But that went good. So another youth group saw me and they, reached out like, Ken, I didn't know you speak to kids. And I'm like, I didn't know I spoke to kids either. The lady just reached out and asked me, and I was like, yeah, you feel me? So I came and speak to this group of teens, and we got to talking about my story and what I do in my background. And one of the kids was like, so how much time did you do in prison again? I was like, I did 6 months in prison. It was like, oh, wow, man. Like, in other words, like, I got right. But listen, let me tell you though, Erin, listen, that kind of bruised me a little bit. Yo, I'm like, hold up, cuz, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gonna discount my 6 months? Like, I know it ain't 10, 20 years, you know what I mean? But what happened was, that time right there allowed me to know that, like, these kids was cut from a different cloth than me. You know what I'm saying? They used to people having to go to jail and do 10 to 20, 30 years. They used to hearing that. You know what I mean? So when I'm like 6 months, they like, oh, but I had to go back to the drawing board and I didn't get a chance to talk to them about this, but in that particular talk that I do to youth, I had to go back to the drawing board and say, listen, no matter if you did 6 months in prison or 20 years in prison, that flag, that F that's on your background, like it's an even playing field. Yeah, that brother can't get no job. That's like, I can't get no job. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a funny story that I got, from the speaking realm. I got to share that with Odell one day.
Man, yo, that's so funny. Yo, kids,
yeah.
This generation of kids, these kids, they something else.
Yeah.
They definitely something else. Okay, yeah, definitely though, when you think about it, regardless of the time you spent, the fact of the matter is you were convicted and you spent time.
Yep.
So that's all that matters. All right, so you was it hard to start your business after going through all of that, all of what you've been through?
No, not at all. Actually, it wasn't hard for me to start my business because, I didn't have any other choice. You know what I mean? As I stated earlier, I had child support to pay and I had restitution, and I knew wasn't nobody giving me no job that was equivalent to giving me at least over 1,000. That was going to pay me over $1,000 a month. You know what I mean? Without any college education, without any other skills that I had at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, listen, I got to do what I got to do. Actually, I invested in a real estate investment course, and my coach had me going to this real estate investment group in my hometown, Winston-Salem. So I would go every Wednesday, shirt and tie, and I would hear all of these investors talking. I would hear them say stuff like, I got 20 properties, most of them in low income neighborhoods. I got 10 properties here. I got 5 properties here. And the common denominator from all of those real estate investors was they could not find somebody to cut their grass. So I went from wearing a shirt and tie one week to come in there with grass stained jeans and boots on, smelling like exhaust fumes because I was cutting everybody grass.
See, making it happen though. Like
Right.
you saw a need and you exploited that, like in the best way possible.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So because I didn't have a choice, I knew that I had to find a need and meet it. I literally had a Mark 8. I think it's a Chrysler Mark 8. I can't even think of the brand of the model make of the car, but I had a Lincoln. It's a Lincoln Mark 8.
Gotcha.
Right? I put a push lawnmower in the trunk. You feel me? And it was sticking out the back of the trunk with the gas pack blower that my dad let me borrow, and a weed eater, 2 gas cans in the trunk of my Lincoln Mark 8. I was riding around cutting grass starting at 5, 6 in the morning. It was just because they had a need and I could feel it by any means necessary. Mm-hmm. Right. So no, it was not hard for me to switch this entrepreneur mindset on, like, because it was always in me. Why? Because it presented a thrill. There is no certainty in entrepreneurship. Like, you hear some people be like, oh, I live, it's not good to live check to check. Well, most entrepreneurs, full-time entrepreneurs, live invoice to invoice. Mm-hmm. But eventually we want to put systems and processes in place that you like to talk about as well, that will allow us to, be absent for 2 weeks while our business is still earning money, right? But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But no, it wasn't hard for me at all because I knew this is the only thing that I could do to stay out of prison.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I love the fact that just listening to your story and listening to the ebbs and flows and how you've been able to overcome the obstacles and the situations that you put yourself in, and how you've navigated through them with humility and just an absolute desire to continue to live a greater human experience every single day. Yeah. It's remarkable, to say the least, listening to what you've been through and the systems and strategies that you've used to navigate this crazy behind journey that you're on. It's really mind blowing. My listeners are going to be like, Ken did what? Like, yes, Ken did all of that, and he's continuing to do just so much more in a positive aspect, in a positive way. What advice would you have, or would you give someone who's maybe teetering on that line of doing something they ain't supposed to do, to fulfill whatever it is that they're trying to fulfill, whether it's that false sense of significance, or maybe like a real life present a need? You know, what information would you give?
Go to therapy. Mental health therapy in the Black community is definitely a stigma that we need to kill. We need to eradicate this joker, right? A lot of us think we have to go to therapy when something is wrong, like grief therapy. Yes, it exists, but that's not the only time that you should go to therapy. I'll give you a real life example. My son, right? He is, I'm 5'9". My son is probably 6 foot or 6'1", maybe tall as crap. And when he likes to get in the car, he likes to slide the seat up closer to the dashboard. And for the life of me, I can't, I'm like, why do you like to move the seat up? Like, he like, Dad, what you trying to say is some kind of diagnosis or something? Because I talk about mental health therapy a lot. And I'm like, nah, but it's worth taking a look at, right? It's worth looking deeper into, because if not, whatever this thing is that makes you want to feel larger than life, it only grows. Like, so my goal is to make sure that my kids are self-aware. Like, why do you do the things that you do? Why do you say the things that you say, so that you don't keep passing them on for generations to come? Find out why you feel the way you feel. Find out why certain things trigger you, so that you can nip it in the bud right now, instead of like stealing money from ATMs because you want to fulfill a thrill. Now, I can't say that I wouldn't have found another way, because we'll never know what would have led me to a different place in life, or here, or whatever. But like, if I would not have stole money, I can't tell you where I would really be at.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, because of mental health therapy, it has taken my business to a whole new level. Listen, when I was able to realize that I was going after a thrill, and then I was able to sit here when I'm editing, I'm like, why am I getting into this? Like, why do I pick music that's so epic and da 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 da? Why do I pick music that make you do this? Or why do I manipulate the story to make you, like, all because it's feeding that inner thrill. It's feeding whatever Ken Branson needs to survive and thrive. But without mental health therapy, I would not know that. And I would not be out here thriving like I am today. So that would be my key right there. If you doing some things in life that you, listen, I'm about to get on a little, so I don't want to get on a soapbox, but relationships. I put a post out the other day about relationships. If you find yourself in a relationship with a certain kind of person every single time, you need to stop and ask yourself why. It's a reason. And it ain't always everybody's fault.
Sometimes we gotta look in the mirror.
Listen, I ain't gonna get on that soapbox because we ain't here to talk about that, but mental health therapy.
It sounds like we're gonna need a part 2. That's what it sounds like.
You know what I'm saying?
It sounds like we're gonna need a part 2. Yeah, no, sometimes you know, and I've been saying this forever. We love to point out other people's flaws and highlight their insecurities. But when you gotta hold that mirror up, when somebody holds that mirror up, you be trying to do everything you can not to look in that mirror. You be like, Bloody Mary in the mirror. Somebody else in the mirror. Like, you do not want to. And sometimes the most important thing that you can do is to look in that mirror and really, really observe what it is that you are seeing.
Yep.
And what masks you're wearing.
Yep.
Depending on what situation you're in.
Yep.
We're gonna have to do a part 2, because I know we could talk about that for a minute.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Ken, how can we support you, and where can we find you and follow you on social media?
That's good. How can you support? How can everybody support? One of the things I teach my clients is that I don't use social media to advertise to my client, right? I use social media to reach the people who are connected to me And they in turn tell people about me or companies about me or hire me because they are in positions of power or they know somebody in positions of power at their job and they actually give me the job or hire me to do the work. Right. So that was just a little gem right there. A lot of people get so wrapped up in. But yes, I'm on social media and I tell stories on Basement to Balcony, Instagram. I tell stories on TikTok, Basement to Balcony as well. I'm Ken Branson on Facebook. I'm on Ken Branson on LinkedIn. I have a website, basementtobalcony.com. Also have a website, mastermind-productions with an s.com as well. Like you can find me in all the places, right? But at the end of the day, I put out a lot of content as a digital creator so that I could stay at the top of the mind of my audience, right? TOMA, TOMA, top of mind awareness, so that people don't necessarily remember exactly what I talk about on my posts or my videos, but they just remember the story or how I make them feel. So, you know, when the time comes around that people need my services, they automatically remember me, right?
See? It's a method to the madness.
Yeah.
It's a method to the madness. Okay. Do you have anything that you want to share with the listeners? Any advice or tips of just life experience?
We talked about mental health, which is mental health therapy, which is I'm a big component or advocate of mental health therapy. I am a product of mental health therapy, and without it, I don't believe I'll be on this journey of self-awareness. The reason I call it a journey is because it doesn't stop, right? I just recently talked to Ruby Wesley, shout out to her, who is now my new financial advisor. Yes, after 15 years of business, of entrepreneurship and making a whole lot of money, I now have a financial advisor. What is this financial advisor doing? She's putting up the mirror and allowing me to look at what I do with my money. Like, so self-awareness doesn't stop. It's so many different areas, especially us as parents. We have to become more self-aware so that we won't pass generational curses down to our kids. Why do we beat our kids? Like, ask yourself why. Why am I remember one day I asked myself, why am I whooping my kids? It's because I felt embarrassed as to what they did to me, or, you know, what they did in school. Not because I didn't beat them because they punched somebody in the face. Like, I beat them because you are embarrassing me as a parent. Like, I got to go up here and face these people and I'm embarrassed. So now I'm about to beat your butt because I'm embarrassed, right? So once I realized self-awareness that I was beating them because I was embarrassed, the whooping stopped. You know what I mean? So it's that type of thing right there where self-awareness will help us understand why we doing what we doing, and it could possibly have us to change some things so generations to come won't be jacked up because of what we did.
Yeah, listen, I always say, like, I think our parents did the best that they could with the information that they had at the time.
Yeah.
Of course, there's room for speculation, and everyone is entitled to their own opinions because everybody doesn't agree with that.
Right.
And that's fine. My personal opinion, our parents did what they could with what they had. Think about their parents. Like, you think we like, I know we got it not bad because I did not grow up in a bad home whatsoever. But to think about, like, the things that I've been through, like, to think about my parents and the stuff that they had to go through, and then their parents, like, it's all a learning process, and we out here breaking generational curses and leaving wealth and prosperity for our future generations. That's what we out here doing. That's what I'm trying to set up. You know, that legacy of, yes, Erin may have come from this, or she's may have experienced that, but all of that's taught her how to do this, and look what she's done with it. And Ken, that's what you've done. That's exactly what you've done. It's amazing. We got you muted for a second. Hold on, y'all.
It connected to my Bluetooth. I'm sorry, I had to edit this part.
You good. This is the perfect spot.
My fault. I don't even know what happened to stop. I tried to mute it because they blowing the yard out there.
This is organic, authentic. I don't do hardly any editing. Like what we get is what we get, and it's all fire.
No doubt.
I got one question, one final last question for you. All right. Okay. Ken, what does resilience mean to you?
Man, this is why the book needs to be written right now. Like, I got the cover design started right and ain't finished it. 5 links to resilience, how to bounce back from any mistake you've made in life. Right?
Why? Okay, pause on all of that. What are you doing? Do you know who Gio is? Gio DeReese? When we get, I'm gonna link you with Gio. Gio has first book done. It's a program. I actually interviewed him a few months ago.
Yeah.
He is the book guy that everyone goes to.
Word up.
So before we end all of this, obviously I stopped recording. But I'm going to link you with Gio's info so you can get that book done, because how awesome would it have been to have that book, like, boom, this is what, let's go, let's think ahead. We're going, I got you. We're going to make this happen. We're going to make this happen. But what does resilience mean to you?
Again, one of the things my pastor used to say, the pastor I was under when I started my business, it's really a quote that I took from him. I don't know where he got it from, but he had biblical reference from, through it all. But what he talked about is how your thoughts and your feelings, become your words. Your words become your actions become your habits, and your habits become your lifestyle. Right. So what I had to do was I had to put that in motion over the last 15 years, and it's still in motion. It's continually in motion, right, to help me to live a different lifestyle every single time. So resilience is how to bounce back from any mistake or anything that you've done or anything that even happened to you in your lifetime. That's exactly what resilience looks like to me.
That's that bounce back. That resilience is that bounce back. I always said one of my favorite things is resilience is mastering the fall. Mastering the fall like a stunt person. When they master how to fall, so it looks graceful. It looks like it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
Mastering that fall. So first off, you learn from your mistakes and you don't fall like that.
Right.
And mastering the fall. First off, that is the embodiment of resilience in action.
Yeah.
Literally. And I love being able to bring it full circle back to the title, back to the whole reason that I hold this space for us to share these stories and systems and strategies of resilience in action that ultimately allow us to have a greater human experience. And Ken, you've been doing that since the day you got off your bed. You've been doing that. So I just want to take this moment, to congratulate you and highlight you and what you've done.
Thank you.
And what you've been able to do, and the impact that you're leaving behind. You're doing phenomenal work. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for spending some time, with us here today. And we definitely going to get you on this part 2.
I love it.
Perfect. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to rate and review. And remember, resilience in action will always lead to a greater human experience.